So it's really wonderful that you're here with a positive agenda, because usually it's about war and how the Kurds can help the United States fight their common enemy. You've signed all these very big deals, and of course they're closely bound up with your pet project, Ronaki, providing 24 hours electricity to Kurdistan, which personally thrills me because I was kind of sick of getting stuck in the lift at the Rotana Hotel. But this project, providing 24 hours electricity, of course, actually is very much bound up with your agenda of fighting corruption in Kurdistan, attacking these vested interests, which of course also include the so-called generator mafia. But at the same time, there is psychological resistance, of course, among the people who are used to getting almost free energy. So, Prime Minister, can you kind of walk us through all the challenges and the benefits of this project?
Well, first of all, thank you, Amber, and it's good to be here. And please allow me to thank Mr. Secretary for being with us today, and thank the whole audience for being here. Of course, your question is very important, and that is one of the basic services that every people deserve to have electricity. Of course, this is a very long problem that our people have been suffering from, and we recently have started some reforms, one of which was to provide this project of Ronaki, which means to provide 24-hour electricity to all of Kurdistan. And I'm very glad that actually it's working very well. It's going and moving forward. Now we are providing to the main cities. I can tell the audience that by the end of this year we will have all our major cities covered with the full 24-hour electricity, and by the end of next year our hope is that all of Kurdistan will have 24-hour electricity. Of course, due to the lack of enough resources, we didn't have enough electricity to provide, so most of the generators were coming in to fill the gap. Of course, I mean, that would also pollute the air. There was a lot of noise, sometimes some issues, 2 bills the people had to pay, electricity coming and going, switching. It wasn't a very easy time for our people. So in this project, we're trying to, first of all, give 24-hour electricity, and for the 80% of people in Kurdistan is going to be cheaper. Only those who wish to use more power, then they have to be responsible for their actions. Otherwise, it would be a cheaper bill, for people. And our goal is not only to provide electricity for our region, but we know that the entire country, all of Iraq and the region, is in shortage of electricity. We have the capacity to produce more resources, more gas, so that we could have more electricity, not only for Kurdistan, but for the rest of Iraq, and for the neighborhood if we could. And that's why I'm very proud that recently we signed 2 important deals with 2 American companies that have been operating in Kurdistan for more than 15 years. And this is going to help produce more gas, which essentially is going to produce more electricity for everyone. And I think this is exactly what we should be doing. Look at our people and try to provide more services for the people.
So what you're describing is essentially a win-win situation for Iraq as a whole.
Absolutely.
Yet, as was mentioned during the previous panels, there is yet again resistance from Baghdad to this, and even talk of legal cases being mounted anew in Baghdad to stop these deals going forward. Given that little seems to have changed in Baghdad despite all the promises, do you feel that Prime Minister Soudani deserves your support in the upcoming elections in Iraq in October?
Well, let's focus on the statement coming from Baghdad. I think they they should have waited to know what this deal means. This is a deal that would really serve the entire country. It will serve and would be beneficial to the Iraqi people as a whole. It's not just the Kurdish people in Kurdistan. So this is a deal that everybody is looking for, because it will produce more electricity to people. Why stand against it? You talked about the legality of this deals. Well, they are absolutely legal, because these two companies have been operating in Kurdistan in different fields, and their contracts have been taken to the court, and 3 times court in Baghdad decided in favor of the contracts of the KRGs and OUCs. So the extension of their fields and their operations in Kurdistan is absolutely legal. In fact, the Constitution is giving Kurdistan region the right to do more deals in the areas that are under the control of the Kurdistan region. So it's absolutely constitutional, it's legal, and any dispute or any decisions or statements against these deals will be just political statements and nothing else. Of course, we would like to have a prosperous country. We would like to have a prime minister, a government that would respect the Constitution, and we have tremendous respect for Prime Minister Soudani, and we hope that he will continue to act as a prime minister of all of Iraq and look at Kurdistan region and the rest of Iraq in the same way. And of course, any prime minister that promises to serve the whole country deserves the support of the Iraqi people, including ours.
So does he say anything different to you behind closed doors? Does he say, look, I'd really like to do this, including for the pipeline, but hey, my hands are tied by X, Y, and Z? Do you have those kinds of conversations? And where can the United States perhaps intervene constructively to help unblock this?
No, we always have very good conversations with the Prime Minister. He's always been expressing his willingness to be supportive.
You're such a diplomat. Well, moving on to, I said that, we never talk about war, but in neighboring Syria, you have a new government and you still have an ISIS problem. Are you confident that this new government in Syria, which is led by somebody who had an association of some kind with ISIS at some point, and whose country remains very fractured, and there's a huge security vacuum, are you confident that his government will be able to contain this problem? And going forward, do you see the benefits of working with him and with the US-led coalition, and of course the SDF, and continuing to defeat and destroy ISIS?
Well, no doubt, Syria is going through some challenging times, and there is a new era for the Syrian people, the Syrian government. We all know the background of all the players in the region. I think that this regime also deserves a chance, as we saw that President Trump in his visit met with President Shara, and promising to lift sanctions not only by the Americans but also by the Europeans. And we've seen that many of the regional countries also promising to help if the regime in Damascus is up to the challenges. I think everybody deserves that chance to see how they will perform. We hear good things from all sides. We know that it's not easy. The country is still not well controlled. There are still many different factions. There are still many arguments about the nature and the structure of the future government in Syria. We hope that eventually the Syrian people will all come together. They will have an election and they will have a constitution that would respect the rights of all the groups, components, minorities, whether they are Kurds or Alawis or Druze or other Arabs in all of Syria. This is a decision for the Syrian people to make, but definitely when we see that whenever the Syrian people decide and agree on a structure that is suited for them, of course we will be supportive. They are our neighbors, and we'd like to promote peace and development in our neighborhood, which eventually is going to be beneficial to all of us.
You spoke of building a new model in Syria, and we have a model in Iraq that has granted you, the Kurds, federalism, federal status. We also know that the president, the interim president of Syria, seems very bent on a unified, centralized system. Do you think that's realistic for Syria? We also know that your father, Masoud Barzani, has played a very important role in bringing the opposing groups in Syrian Kurdistan together so that they can go to Damascus united and trying to get the best deal they can for themselves. Do you believe that there is hope for a sort of more decentralized model for Syria that to me personally seems the realistic one? And do you believe the regional players, and Turkey in particular, which seems to have outsized influence on Syria, would go along with that?
Look, let's look at Iraq first. We have a federal system in Iraq. But federalism is not just ink on the paper. Federalism needs to be implemented the way it's supposed to. Of course, we have shortcomings today in Iraq in the implementation of the constitution. Federalism, we think, I mean, this is something that we believe would be the best system for Iraq. In 2005, the majority of the Iraqi people voted and ratified the constitution. So this is a system that has been promising. Although there are still challenges, not because federalism is bad, because federalism has not been fully implemented. So it's very important that when you have a system, the system is respected. And that's what we want for Iraq. Now, for Syria, you're absolutely right. President Barzani invited both factions of the Kurds in Syria to come to Erbil and to convene with both sides and encourage them to come together. We think that a united Kurdish front in Syria is going to be very helpful. It will give them strength in negotiating with Damascus to secure their rights. But of course, it's their decision what kind of model they want to negotiate with Damascus and what kind of agreement they want to have with Damascus. All we want is to see the Kurdish rights being respected. And of course, during the negotiations, I believe that they will come up with a system that works for all of them. And in terms of the neighbors of Syria, so far we've seen that the tensions have been eased, and everyone is looking for an opportunity or are ready to look at that chance for Syria to not only come out of ashes, but also to thrive.
We're here in Washington, and I'd like to ask you about Secretary Rubio's comments about Kurdistan, saying how important preserving Kurdish autonomy is. Do you feel that there is a shift under the Trump administration in the relationship between the United States and the Kurdistan regional government?
We appreciate the statement by Secretary Rubio. We think it was very important to hear that statement coming from the United States, which we consider to be our closest ally. We are proud allies and friends of the United States. And to be frank, we are very supportive of the policy of President Trump's administration and his decision in promoting peace, development, and prosperity in different parts of the world. This is why we are here. We are here to prove that Kurdistan is not only good in fighting terrorism with the allies, but it's also ready to build with allies so that we could serve our people and also the American investors who are wishing and willing to come to Kurdistan. So this is a win-win situation for everyone. And yes, we do see that there is, we feel the welcome, we feel the support that we have here in Washington, and we are very proud of this relationship.
Well, I think we can end on that very positive note. Thank you so very much,
Thank you.
Prime Minister.